I've only got 42 slides. No, I've luckily got quite a short presentation because I had hoped to come and deliver a fully signed off open access project, but we're still in the progress of doing that. But nonetheless, I shall tell you about some of the exciting stuff we've been doing for Welsh Government and treat it as a teaser, hopefully. So I'd like to talk about mapping mine water heat opportunities in Wales, is a project that's been supported by Welsh Government. So thanks out to Ed, Sheriff, Marcia, Manon, who's just left, unfortunately, and Paul at Welsh Gov. And you can see the long list of names there. It's included everyone in my team and lots of other teams as well. So most of you will know where Wales is. If you don't, and you haven't had the pleasure of visiting there and getting soaking wet in the rain, it is within this red box, Edinburgh being at the top and Wales being down there. The green areas donate coalfield, and South Wales does have one of the most populous coalfields in the UK. Lots of people living on it, and of course a lot of the population honed in around that southern part of the country as well. And we've been chatting to Welsh Government for some time, and just like they're doing in Scotland and like you're doing in England as well with heat network zonings, Welsh Government are also looking at local area energy plans. They're saying, right, let's throw everything into the box. And what can we do? Where can we link up heat sources, heat users, so on and so forth? So they sort of challenged us to create an open access map that could be easy to read and interpret by your energy manager in your local authority or others, that looked at potential for open loop mine water heat schemes, which is a lot of what we've been talking about, but also delight to see quite a few people mentioning the low-hanging fruit. I think, David Walls, that's your phrase, which I'm stealing totally, so it's a great one. So we've also included the low-hanging fruit of mine water discharges. And yeah, we figured as well, it's much easier to map the whole of a country or a large administrative area in one go than it is to nibble off every local authority one by one. So here we go. So heating in Wales. Welsh Government recently consulted on their heat strategy, and they're busy compiling results and ultimately to release their final heat strategy in due course. But the draft heat strategy does give some really interesting facts. 50% of energy in Wales used for heat. I imagine there is some very large industrial heat loads in South Wales, and those things may change, I'd imagine, given recent news. But industrial heat, domestic, and then of course got a large number of micro businesses and SMEs dotted around all around the place. Much sadder facts that have come to life are that following the recent energy and cost of living crisis, that 45% of homes are at risk of fuel poverty in Wales. That's a wild number. But we've also got that coupled with significant off-grid and some of the oldest and least efficient homes in Europe, mine included. So obviously I'm very, very blessed to have the ability to hopefully make some corrections to the home to make it not so inefficient. But unfortunately, 45% of the homeowners there don't have that ability. The way things are happening in Wales is they're pretty keen on, obviously, net zero, as everyone is, and they're keen on it because they legally have to do it, but also talking about the just transition to net zero as well, which is quite important, and allowing everyone to transition to net zero. So here we go. What did we do? What did we put into the melting pot to create our maps, which I will show you a snippet at the end. So underground workings. You can see lots in South Wales, and this is where we have records, also some up in North East Wales and down to Pembrokeshire. For anyone that's from Anglesey here, sorry, you didn't get included. You didn't really have enough workings. There were a small amount there, but we've ruled you out, so apologies for that. So you can see very much concentrated in South Wales and North East Wales. known discharges, I've called them. These are places where mine water pops out at the surface, as it does. And a lot of the topography of South Wales and the South Wales valleys are called as such because there's a series of valleys. And of course, water likes to pop out at the lowest hydrological point in the cycle, which is often by a river, is often where a lot of people live, which is kind of tends to be generally the only flattish bit around. So some good synergies there with where mine water is coming out and where we could potentially use it. We put in monitoring data where we had it. Here is somebody taking a measurement at one of our monitoring boreholes. I think it's our geophysical contractors. We also operate about 70 mine water treatment schemes across Great Britain, but in Wales, I think we're on about 15. So there's some good ways there that, again, we can hopefully potentially access heat from some of these. And we also didn't just add things to this map, we also considered what might we take out. So where surface mining or open casting had been undertaken, obviously removed all the seams. We're also quite conscious to remove that from any final opportunity map, so we didn't give a false impression that there may indeed be something there. I should say, scattered on top of that and amongst it and all over it was expert knowledge. So we're really blessed to have some great people in the team and the authority that have got knowledge back long before I was even a small boy in a pair of shorts. So they've really thrown in that kind of life's passion and knowledge into this as well. Oh dear, hang on. What? Right, hang on, excuse me. We'll just pretend I know how to use animations. Methodology. So the data analysis, we spent a lot of time on the project thinking, how are we going to make this quite a sensible method? We spent a large amount of time really going back and forth, and poor old Dan over here kind of took the lead on that, and I could see that he was pulling his hair out on lots of occasions because we went round and round and round in circles. And what you've got here is a snippet of our final methodology. What I will say is, along with the Welsh Government mine water opportunity maps that will be fully open access, we will also have a report that will detail our methodology and our findings that will also be entirely open access. So there'll be no sort of mystery of how we did it. It will be open and there. And you can take it and use it or leave it as you see fit. So we obviously considered the bare bones of this. Are there mine workings? Yes or no? We did exclude some very shallow ones, but actually the rest of them we broadly kept included. We wanted to look for multiple seams because that is often a key requirement, but it's not always going to be a key requirement. So if there were single seams that were extensive enough, we thought maybe we left those in as well. We looked at depth to mine workings because we were talking about capital spend and challenges. You know, nobody wants to drill really deep, complicated boreholes unless you have to. So I think highlighting our sort of tiers for that were, well, if you're shallower, great. And in some cases, you have no shallow options, so fair enough. So we put that into various tiers of assessment. We looked at mine water levels for similar reasons as well. I remember looking at the Bockham slide as well, thinking, 250 metres of pumping head there, wolf. But we've not been that enthusiastic with ours. We've kind of, again, tiered it, but we've put it to within reasonable pumping heads that you would expect in different areas, because, of course, that's a key input of costs and drivers for these schemes. We've also looked at mine water recovery status. So in some areas, your mine water system will be fully recovered. And you can say, right, thanks, that's where the mine water will reach. It's not going any higher. Thank you very much. In other areas, it will still be recovering. So the map does have some sort of time limitation in some areas, in that it might get better in some areas that we don't consider that great now, because it's a dynamic system and this map is obviously a stationary map. Some apologies about these slides. I must have given you the wrong version. So anyway, what does it look like? Here we go. So this is a little snippet from Caerphilly Council area. Again, we spent an inordinate amount of time thinking, what should we call these opportunity areas, as we call them, or rankings, and we came up with good, possible, and challenging. They all have slightly different twists on it, but clearly there's some form of ability in each one of these, and they're coloured in this sort of colour rank of orange colours, which will be a bit more visual on the final map. This is obviously a draft one. And then the black outline is a county boundary, so you can ignore that. And then what we did as well, with all the multiple discharges that are popping out everywhere, or that we treat, we said, okay, we're not going to put every single one on this map, because at least in certain areas of South Wales could get a little bit busy. Let's just put the ones where we think we can get a minimum of 0.5 megawatts worth of heat off it. And anything below that, goodbye, and anything above it, great. So that's what it looks like, and we hope that this will be integrated now, albeit slightly at the last minute, into the Welsh Government local area energy plans. We've been working with lots of local authorities and private companies and anyone in Wales to kind of try to enthuse them onto the path of mine water heat. This information will be open for anyone to use, so it's not just something that we can use. When it's out there via Welsh Government's website, it's a tool and a map that hopefully we can all benefit from these sort of high-level discussions. And you'll see just from this snippet in Caerphilly is it's already cutting out areas as well. So whereas you might have gone to it and said, oh yeah, the whole of my borough is underlain by mine workings, well, it isn't actually. So even at that quick level where you might be discussing it with an energy manager, you could instantly start pointing to things saying, oh, actually, I should miss out the centre of Ystrad Mynach for the most part, because that's not particularly great. But, oh, look at it up here. I've got a development site. Perhaps we should start chatting. So it's kind of for that level of assessment. It's not going to mean you don't need to do your detailed phase ones or your drilling. You're probably going to need to drill everywhere unless you're blessed to have an existing shaft or a borehole on site already. So we're quite excited about its launch. I'd be even more excited if it was ready to launch now, so apologies, that is not. I assume it will follow Welsh Gov's heat strategy, which we'll obviously all look forward to. So yeah, watch this space. It will be fully open access, mapping, reporting, methodology, highlights, and we'd encourage you all to use it. Please let us know if you've got comments or feedback. And hopefully this time next year we can give you an update on some real schemes in Wales that have progressed because of this. And thank you very much.